Today we celebrate the 15th of Nisan because that's the day we left Egypt. But there's something important we should understand about how our calendar works. It didn't become a holy day because we left Egypt on that day. We left Egypt on that day because it was already a holy day, and a unique holy day, meaning all these different days on our calendar have a unique kedusha that we access by doing the rituals associated with that day. For example, our sages teach us that Avraham ate matzah on Pesaḥ. Right? Why would Avraham eat matzah on Pesaḥ if it's generations before we left Egypt? Because there's a special kedusha, there's a special divine light that shines into the world on the 15th of Nisan that can be accessed by eating matzah. And then later in history, we leave Mitzrayim on that day, we leave Egypt on that day, and we have matzot on Pesach, right? But all of that, also the 4 cups of wine, everything, all the rituals and laws and customs associated with a specific day on our calendar is meant for us to be able to fully access that divine light shining into the world. So on the 15th of Nisan, the divine light of Cherut, freedom, shines into our world. We didn't just leave Egypt on that day. Yitzchak Avinu was born on that day. The Brit Ben Abitarim was on that day. The Sikari at Masada took their lives rather than be taken as slaves by the Romans on the 15th of Nisan. The Warsaw Ghetto Uprising began just a few hours before the 15th of Nisan, on Erev Pesach. Right? So there's a unique light of freedom that shines into our world on the 15th of Nisan that we can access through the laws, customs, and rituals associated with that day. And often in history, the Kadosh Baruch Hu makes things happen, or things obviously do happen, on the days that the divine light shining into the world is conducive for those things to happen, for those events to take place. Now, the Seder night, right, the whole Seder experience that we do on the first night of Pesach, and diaspora Jews actually do twice. Right? They do it for the first 2 nights of Pesach. This is primarily an educational tool to teach our children our collective story. The purpose of the Seder is to pass on the story of our people to the next generation. Now, also, the Seder is largely about accessing the unique divine light that shines into our world on the 15th of Nisan through all these rituals and customs and laws, but it's also an educational experience for the children. Children are the focus. And if one is at a Seder without children, then we educate ourselves and those around us to the story of our people. And Rabbi Akiva says something very important in the Haggadah that we should think about every morning and every night. That when we say Kriyat Shema, there's a part at the end, right, where we're supposed to remember that the Creator took us out of Egypt to be a God to us, right? So Rabbi Akiva adds, we don't just remember that Hashem took us out of Egypt and redeemed us back then. We also have to recognize and appreciate that Hashem is redeeming us now. That He's bringing the Geula now. He's liberating us now. And Rabbi Akiva believed this so strongly that he became the spiritual leader of the Bar Kokhba revolt against the Romans. And even though that failed, he was still right. Right? The Rambam teaches us that Rabbi Akiva was right for believing in Bar Kokhba, for believing he was Mashiach, and for participating in that revolt. And even more so today in our generation, when the Creator has already brought us back to our land. And we've achieved everything we've achieved materially in the last century. Every morning and every night, we should appreciate, acknowledge, not only that Hashem took us out of Egypt, but that Hashem is redeeming us now. That Hashem brought us back to our land now. And it's given us the opportunity to participate in history now. It's very important, very empowering. And very helpful for us being able to be who we're supposed to be. So that's the I'd say the main lesson of Pesach that we should, the context, so to speak, right? When we go through the Haggadah, everything else, we should remember also that the plagues that smashed Egypt were not for the sake of bringing us out. Hashem could have brought us out without any plagues. And it wasn't even for the sake of punishing Egypt. Egypt could have been punished with one plague. The 10 plagues should be understood as a protracted educational process for humanity. Egypt at the time was the superpower of the world. It was the main character of humanity. If Egypt sneezed, the world would catch a cold. And what happened to Egypt educated humanity. And the exodus of Egypt, right, Yetziat Mitzrayim, was an event that brought humanity to the awareness of the creator and author of history. That there is a creator who is actively involved in history. And that there's a purpose to history, which completely goes against the ideology of Egyptian society. Egyptian ideology claimed that there is no purpose, that we just live our nature over and over and over again, cycles of nature, right? Remember, on his head, Pharaoh wore a uraeus, a cobra, right? It's round, symbolizing the ideology of ancient Egypt. And part of our victory over Egypt when we leave is that we took that round symbol and we made it square. We gave it straight lines. Right? In the Kabbalistic teachings, straight lines, the kav, expresses purpose, meaning, as opposed to the circle, which means it's nature. There's no real purpose to anything. So that's why the Totafot are a sign of our victory over Egypt, because we took that uraeus on Pharaoh's head and we turned it into Totafot. We made it square, and we showed the world. Hashem showed the world through our liberation from Egypt and through the plagues and everything that happened, that history has a meaning. History has purpose. This world has a purpose. And that the ability for humanity to achieve this purpose is built into the system through the children of Israel.